I think I mentioned on the pod last time that Mason has a couple of weeks off for half term, which is not way outside of like term time prices. So, and this was even cheaper than that. We did have to take the Friday off for him from school, but for 175 quid, like you really can't go wrong for flights for 4 people.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
like a large studio kind of apartment place. Car rental for 20 quid for the week. So we've just been driving around to beaches and yeah,
Unreal.
just trying to hit it up. So the good weather, just having a good time.
We went to Menorca last year. It was really nice. Really, really nice.
Whereabouts did you stay, out of interest?
Oh, don't even ask.
I mean,
I have no idea. I just go along with Harriet's family. Harriet's family say we're going on holiday, and I say how much. How much? let me know where to be, and then I just get there. I mean, this year was even messier just because we had the baby and stuff, and I was like haggling with like 4 bags. I got the baby strapped to my front. It was just an absolute mess. But no, Menorca last year. I don't know where we exactly stayed, but I mean it's just an island, isn't it? So
it is a really small island. Like
yeah,
basically we're staying the other side of the island from the airport, other side of the west side, and it's like a 45-minute drive, but that's it. Everywhere else is like 20 minutes to get to places. We did cheap it up, so the car hire was 20 quid, and to rent like a car seat or booster seat, it's like 50 quid per kid for the week. So I decided to go on Facebook Marketplace, get a couple of free ones, and check it in.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I said to you yesterday. I said to you yesterday, the day before, you love a deal, or you know all the deals, and that's just
absolutely.
That's just telling, isn't it?
I have a choice, and we got some really good condition ones. So I don't know if I actually bring it. I was planning on leaving it somewhere, but I might actually bring it.
The value.
Yeah.
No, you won't pay the
airfare. Of like packing it up again.
Pay the airfare and bring it back home. Sell it for a profit.
No, it's free. It's free. Kids get to check this stuff in for free, right? And then and if you take it with you, with like wrapped up, you can like stuff extra like clothes and stuff in because we don't have big luggage as you guys.
You can pack up car seat for free on a plane.
Yeah.
Can you
car
actually?
seat, push chairs. Yeah. This is all the stuff. Look, I'm teaching you.
I know. But I specifically bought a pram that could flip. You know, it's like a transformer pram. It's like you press a button.
I have one too.
Into one.
But you can also actually just check it. You can also just check them in for free anyway.
Yeah, that was another thing.
If you had a big one,
hold and pack and carry throughout the airport that she never went in because she was strapped to my front. Memories.
What do you go this year?
What we've been up to 2 weeks?
Skegness. Next.
I've been going to glamorous Nottingham for a couple of occasions. Did a locals there on Tuesday to get some paper practice with Absol Kang, and then I played a cup there on Saturday as well.
Nice.
So a couple of trips up there was fun. I got a top 4 with Joltik Golden Go. So 4 cups now. I've had 3 top 4s and a top 8, so I probably have to improve on all of those. Just so annoying. But yeah, it was good.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and I went to Birmingham. Just because
it's not even that close.
No, it's not that close, really, when you think about it. Just because it's one of the better stores in the UK, and Emily knows Amy, so there was good people there.
Was Dice Cup, right? Dice Cup?
Yeah, Dice Cup, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did Birmingham Card Show, my first ever card show that I went to on the Sunday as well, just last weekend. That was really fun. I brought like 3 ETBs of graded cards just to like trade and sell, basically, and then I ended up getting 1 card for my collection, which I was really happy about. I got a Skyridge Alakazam in a 9,
Nice.
Which was really good. So now I'm just 1 card away from that and getting really close to completing the Whatsy stuff now. And I was able to do some like nice bartering and picked up other like random treats as well. Like I got some Skyridge box toppers, which was cool. So yeah, just a lot of cool stuff on display. We were there for probably like 3 or 4 hours. It was good.
Oh, lush. I can't believe you've never been to a card show.
I know.
I was gonna say, how big is it? How big was the one that you went to?
I would say there was probably, I mean, it's just all like lots of tables and stuff. There was probably about 50 stalls there, something around that number. And it's like a maze where you're just like going in and out, and loads of graded cards and binders and all sorts. I think it's given me more motivation to do like more spreadsheets to organize my gaps, because I feel like if we go to a card show again soon, I can go with like a couple £100 random gaps of cards that you're never going to find on eBay, because no one can be bothered to list like a random £3 uncommon or something, but it's going to be rooted in someone's binder there because they have it all organized and all sorts. So that's going to be a real good thing for us to do again. So yeah, I've got the itch now, and I've started to slowly shift some slabs, and I think card shows are a good way to get a very quick deal done, even if you're leaving money on the table, because obviously they have to make their money as well. But it's a good way to, especially if there's things that they have. Like, I was only ever really doing trade, so if I saw a booth that there was stuff I liked, that's when I approached them and was like, hey, do you want to look at this stuff for trade? So that was like, it felt very like pure collectory, and it wasn't really like, it was much more chill than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be much more like haggly and like a bit like icky, but everyone was very transparent. Everyone was very like chill. Everything, etc. You don't have to take anything. There was no pressure or anything. Yeah, it was really nice.
We've got a lot of like good resources now, right? Everyone uses the same resources to like price things up and like
exactly
double check stuff. And I don't think anyone really wants to kind of rip each other off, especially no kind of reputation for things like that. Right?
For sure, and most of them are stores anyway, so they'll have business cards and all sort of stuff. It's like, check us out when you're next around, etc. So yeah, it was really good meeting lots of people. And yeah, I just randomly in my bag, I threw in 2 Crimson Invasion Holo Gengars, okay, that I have in PSA 10. So Crimson Invasion, it was just a regular holo from the set, right? And that was like the hottest item that I ended up bringing out of everything I had. Almost every vendor took it out, looked at it, and did like the research on it. And it had recently sold in the US for like £900, which is insane for like Sun and Moon Crimson Invasion holo that was probably just bulk the entire time right in a pack. But I didn't end up doing any trades or sales on it on the day, but it was one of those that like, I was so surprised that was the card that had the fascination of like every single vendor, because there's 50 of them in PSA 10, so I own like 6% of the population of this one card in the 10, which is quite funny.
No wonder you took it home when it's sold for that sort of money.
Well, yeah, it was one of those things where, Gengars are just doing crazy things at the moment. The market's doing crazy things again at the moment. It's starting to move quite quickly again. But it's just crazy that I threw these cards in on a whim, thinking they were like, oh, maybe I could get like £80 to £100 worth in trade for this. And then someone's like eyes lit up, and then we're like, that's insane what it's selling for. And then like, showed me, and I was like, I had no idea about this. So it was very cool.
How much was it going for?
Well, I mean, I was trying to get like 500 or 600 for it. And there was a lot of people close. Basically every vendor was also like, they just wanted it for their own collection as well. Like a lot of them weren't thinking about just flipping for value. They were just like, oh, I haven't seen this in a 10. And Crimson Invasion, like, who else is going to keep mint random holos from Crimson Invasion? Like, no one. That was a rubbish. Yeah, that was like a rubbish set for collectors, right? No one opened Crimson Invasion for collection because there was like no real hits. Like the best cards coming out in that box was like Boswells and like Sylvallies or something.
I remember.
So there was nothing for collectors, so no one kept it in good nick.
I remember when we did EUIC 2017, and you had 3 boxes or 4 boxes of Crimson Invasion and ripped them to shreds. That was great.
Yeah, and got about £3 worth of value.
Yeah,
probably one of the Gengars that day though. So I'm finally back.
I remember it was funny because you were looking for type null, and I think you got 1.
I was looking for type nulls. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, card shows are brilliant. There's always card shows going off in Cardiff. I think there's probably one every 2 to 3 months. And with the first one I went to was just a part of the gaming show, which actually weirdly I went to last week. But now they're doing their own card show as an event in the Cardiff City Stadium, and they've rented out the whole major suite in a stadium. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, the whole base set cube I got from a card show, and for really good prices.
Yeah, that was the thing that's what surprised me more, is that everyone just has this stuff in binders, and it's a lot of them are like really well organized as well, so it wouldn't take long to root out literally just random cards.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's really surprising how helpful it was.
You get, because you have such a variety of sellers, you have some sellers which are purely collecting high rarity PSAs all the way down to your bulk sellers. And you get kind of that weird in between where they have rare cards, but they have been completely chewed. And that's my sweet spot, because I just picked out all of the Japanese wrecked ciphers instead of going for the English mid rarity 25, 30 quid ones. No, card shows are brilliant, and like you said, the people there are really friendly. Really friendly bunch. So
I think the worst thing for you, Rab, is every time we picked up one of your cubes that's in Japanese, you have no idea what the cards do.
No, that's a lie. So the last time we played Cube, there was only one card I was unsure what the translation was, and it was a.
So there were cards that you didn't know.
To be fair, it was. It's a card that hasn't been printed in English. It was the Clefairy CD promo, I think. It had like a kind of I've forgotten what you call this type of attack. Vending promo, that's it. But you bring up something.
Was it a minimize? Oh no, it was.
No,
it was.
It was not a minimize. You bring something up for 1, and then for 2 energy, it's 10 and confuse, as all of the good base set cards do. So there was a lot of flipping going on that day.
All the sort of things we're discussing, we should start like pulling them up on the screen when we can.
Yeah,
be quite interesting. I have no idea what it
is. No.
Actually,
all of my wins were on deck out just from using Onyx the entire time.
I won as well. I won that cube. I smashed it.
You won your own cube, did you?
I won my own cube, as all good champions do. I'll put my cube as a link. I got it on Cube Koga, because I know there'll be loads of people looking at that. I'll bring it to my next regional, and we can all have a go.
Can you make sure you bring some energy this time?
I have so much energy now. I have so much energy. Actually, do I? I think I'm missing. I think there was one energy type we actually missed out. We actually ran out of. I think it was fighting. Was it fighting? Do you remember, Joe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was fighting.
Yeah. Because it's Hitmonchan in my cube.
I'm starting to think it's 14 minutes in, boys.
Yeah, you should probably move on.
It's a little quick one today, isn't it?
You
did this last time, Ben, as well. Was he frozen?
No, I haven't frozen.
No, he's just buffering.
Oh yeah, I forgot I was hosting. Yeah, sorry, I kept thinking it was Alex. No, everybody, welcome to the SpilltheTeaCG podcast once again. I'm going to intro this time, as I didn't do it last time. You're joining myself, Benjamin Yard, with Alex Dow and Joe Bernard.
Hang on, Ben, are you recording right now?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, just double check.
Okay, good. Yeah, just double checking.
Yeah, it's a funny joke. It's a lampoon.
We're only 15 minutes in, so I thought it was worth checking.
No, we are
better than the
recording.
4 days we got last time. So
yes. Introduction is aside, and FPL's aside. Actually, quick FPL check. We were 1 point. We were 1 point in between each other on the Saturday, but I think Alex, you've overtaken me this weekend. That's just.
Did you wildcard as well, Joe?
I wildcarded, Joe.
You both wildcarded, yeah. But Joe put Bowen in, which is madness.
I was close. You shouldn't have seen how many iterations of this team I built, right? It was like a week's worth of like trying to work min-max every bit of money that I had.
Yeah.
My coin flip was Bowen and Mateta as well, so it really felt good when he scored 3.
That's fair enough.
That's
fair enough.
I wanted Mateta in, and I decided I'm just gonna plonk an Isak in because I need a Liverpool attacker somewhere, and it can't be Masala. They have to play Isak, and could have been more.
Oh yeah. FPL aside, football aside, definitely from myself, Celtic haven't had a good I was going to say week, but it's probably been about 4 months now.
You've been complaining about Brendan Rodgers for about 4 years. It feels like.
I hate him. I really do.
Can't stand the bloke.
I hate him. He said. Bear in mind, we lost against Dundee 2-0 Saturday, and it's an embarrassing performance. We've spent probably about 40 million on right wingers in the past 15 years, and we're still playing James Forrest. And it's like, come on, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And then he came out saying, you can drive a Ford Fiesta, but you can't expect it to be a Ferrari. And it's like, mate, you just lost against Dundee. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've just spent 10 million on a midfielder, and their club is worth 5. Their whole club is worth 5 million. Oh, joke. Anyway, football aside, because I know both of you have had pretty good time with football, so we'll skip that. But of course, it was actually a jam-packed weekend of football, of Pokemon last week, wasn't it?
Football. Certainly football.
We had Milwaukee, we had Belo Horizonte, and I really hope I'm saying that right. Both regionals across the pond, and both had quite differing results, really, in terms of decks represented, but also the decks that came out top. So I'm going to bring up the stats that don't lie in a moment. So let's have a look at the stats, shall we? So we have. Oh, my thing's gone weird. There you go. That should be better.
Just
so
for
you've
our
got
pod listeners, you're gonna walk us through them as well, right?
I am.
Be able to see.
I'm gonna walk through it. I promise. So we have Milwaukee first, which we'll go through, and I'll go through the day one meta share. Let's go through the top. How much did I say last time? It was like top 11. It was like something random. But we'll go through top 5.
Just go 6. We work
okay,
6.
top 6.
We
Top
like
6, fine. So we have, and to be fair, they're all very, very, they're very all few and far between in terms of percentages. But we have Charizard Pidgeot, 206 decks represented at 8.96. Then we have Ceruledge, 204 at 8.87. Gardevoir, 192 at 8.35. Grimmsnarl Frostlass, 190 decks, which is 8.26. Then we have Dragapult Dusknoir, 159 at 6.91. And then we have Goldengo Lunatone, 151 decks, going into the tournament at a 6.57% percentation. So I mean,
it'll be good for you to just quickly reel off the grouping them up as well.
Yeah. I'll do the
paints a very different picture.
I'll do the grouping on. Yeah. So then we have Gardevoir 14.39%, Goldengo 12.22, Charizard's 9.48, Dragapult 8.91, Ceruledge at 8.87, then Marnie's Grimmsnarl at 8.52. I'll take grouping off once more.
Why are you cracking up, Dan?
He just loves how awkward it is.
He's
me
lost
rattling
it.
off stats.
He's lost it.
He loves me just rattling off numbers.
I'm enjoying him going 8.96, 8.87.
Yeah, because nobody's going to care about the 8.96. They're just going to listen to the name, which I probably should have done.
Just say 9%, 8.
But they're all but this is the point, Dow, Alex Dow.
And well, that's what we're going to have to raise, aren't we?
Yeah, those top
4.
This is what we're going to have to, this is what we're going to have to raise, because Charizard, Pidgeot, Ceruledge, Gardevoir, Grimmsnarl, they all had an 8%, but like you're talking about 6, 4, 2 decks difference in terms of representation. So yeah, quite an equal measure of decks, isn't it, Joe Bernard?
Yeah, that's one way to put it. So obviously it's worth noting this is Mega Evolution. So coming into this, there's
Yeah. No. I say
Coming into this, Charizard being the most popular when you're talking about individual variants, gains the buff of Psyduck and Lily, 2 big upgrades, and is trying to target Guardy to an extent as well, which, as we know, is like we're never present before Mega Evo. Ceruledge being the second most popular isn't like a huge surprise. It was really popular online. Gains the Lunar Rock package, so it's more consistent at what it tries to do, and it's got a very simplistic, aggressive game plan. And when its game plan also matches up nicely against Golden Go, the other like prevalent aggro deck, I would say, outside of Bolt, I suppose. It's a like good thing to be the Ceruledge rather than the Dengo, making it like an easier pick, I would say. And then it's just the other like known strong factors. All of these other stage 2s, Guardy, Grim, and Pult, all also benefit from Lily somewhat as well. So they're like pretty content coming into this format. Bit of a knock on the pedestal for Dragon Dusk, just with that fear of Psyduck, especially because when it's unknown of like, oh, how many people will actually care enough to play the Duck, and how many are going to be like missing it or doing other things to make it more awkward for you. I'm sure a lot of Dragon Dusks were thinking that they would just have to deal with a Psyduck. Maybe you can time the Phantom Dive plus Lucha correctly and still get through or whatever. So I don't think many people were expecting Mist Duck to be a combo, but that ended up becoming more of a story as the tournament progressed.
Yeah, fair enough. Dow, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because heading into these tournaments with Mega Evolutions was everyone was just like, oh, just buy 4 Lilies, everything will be fine, right? And I think Ceruledge was able to prove just by having that Soul Rock Lunatone package. I mean, one of the cool things of having that kind of addition to improving Ceruledge as a deck is the fact that with the other sort of beat stack decks, you have those 70 HP Pokemon you kind of have to rely on. So with Golden Go, you have this obviously the Littlin that it has to evolve from, and then also when it's like Raging Bolt, you've got Hoot Hoots or Fan Rotums, for example. But Soul Rock can just swing into those and kind of keep its board as a single prize and actually force enough pressure where it's like asking all of those questions. So that's always really interesting. And of course, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about it on this pod shortly as well. But the Mega Pokemon actually did a thing. They're actually, somewhat playable, and it took a bit of tweeting from a certain said player toward Reklev to be able to send the whole Twitterverse into kind of chaos. It's probably how I described it. Everyone was kind of scrambling for what exactly he was on about. Everything. All of a sudden, players were playing against one another at a very sort of high levels and sort of working out this random Absol deck that people were playing against.
The funniest thing, just quickly, the funniest thing I heard was that there was someone on high ELO jamming Great Tusk so they could mill and see the list. That's the coolest thing I heard. Like a week before, they would get to a high enough ELO to hit one and then see what's in their list. That's the coolest thing I heard about.
That's the first time I've heard that. That sounds like even more chaos than to even think about. I can't even believe someone could even think about that.
That's such a waste of time.
What do you mean? You learn the list?
Yeah. I mean, it's completely true because I mean, Tord gave a couple of like inklings to what it was. He eventually tweeted out the Stantler and added a 0 to the attack, and everyone was like, well, there's only one card, obviously then. But yeah, of course, that was a major story in itself. But yeah, that was actually a big story going into both Milwaukee and Belo Horizonte, right? Just because the amount of players that actually kind of bring in a deck like that.
It definitely made a big impression going into the tournament and as the tournament was going along, only because it featured so much during the stream as well. Obviously, a really strong group of players would have taken the deck and tested it through and through, and it definitely made good results going into the next day in both tournaments. So it was definitely a deck that was on everybody's lips, only because, being a kind of a mystery deck, it was a deck that's newly put together. What comes with that is the guesses of how to beat it efficiently, right? So yeah. A lot of thinking going into the tournament, especially around that. But then we have the conversion going into day 2. I have it sorted to 100%, so our Chaladon Zarowak 100% fair play, mate. But I'll go into decks that are a little bit more highly.
Congrats
highly
to Juan Mora
Yeah. Mega Absol box with a 50.98 conversion, 51 going into day 1 with 26 going into day 2. Let's go into top decks. Meta share. So we have Gardevoir 20%, Charizard Pidgeot 17, Grimmsnarl Frostlass 17, Dragon Ball Dusknoir 20, Golden Go Lunatone 21, and then Ceruledge 14. As you always see with these mega aggressive decks, sometimes it is really a flip of the coin. Their weaknesses are very easily exploited. If your opponents can ride the wave, you know, you're gonna have a bad time, and that's just how it is. 14.2%. But you know, I still believe Ceruledge had actually a pretty good tournament. Considering how linear the archetype is, I don't think you're ever expecting to make the top tables throughout the tournament. But to have, you know, a consistent showing and, you know, 29 decks is actually more than I would have thought going into day 2, to be honest.
I mean, it's one of those things where if you, I don't know what is a good conversion percentage nowadays.
Sure,
it is, right? Joe, I don't know if you've ever looked at it from your side.
It feels like it fluctuates from event to event, to be fair.
But I guess, like, is it then, like, you know, relational to the tournament, of course, because if you can compare Ceruledge's conversion compared to the rest of the quote-unquote top decks, the most played decks, it's quite low, right? In that perspective.
Guardy Jelly having the scariest, honestly.
Right? 10% or 11% or so.
Yeah.
Ben might be showing it on screen as well, but it's one of those things where it's like, is it the right tournament? But then people are still thinking Guardy Jellicent is, well, I mean, it obviously performed pretty well in the hands of some top tier players as well at this, in Milwaukee, but maybe it's just kind of put Jellicent in the front or Frillish in the front and pray often, whether that's similar to how Badoo kind of does a lot of things by itself, right? It can kind of just shut down a lot of decks. I'm
still of the opinion with Guardy and Guardy Jellicent, because I think you do have to consider them both a very different play style. I think they're mutually exclusive. I think I'm still of the same opinion that you will see a kind of a flip-flop between the two as each regional goes along. I don't think you'll ever see... I mean, Aban was a classic example. He kind of flipped between the two, between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. And I think you'll see a lot of that happening.
I agree to an extent. And I think it's quite he's a good example because two different formats, right? Mega Evolutions kind of saw a downward tick, especially if you looked at online results and what people were playing, of this kind of beat stick decks going from Golden Go to maybe the Ceruledge deck. So naturally, Jellicent's very good against Golden Go. So moving away from that, if Golden Go stonks are kind of dropping, as it were, and having a bit more of a different build into the rest of the matchup and the rest of the meta.
I'm keen to...
Probably made a lot more sense of flip-flop. I personally wouldn't see going forward there'll be much of a flip-flop. I think I prefer the straight Guardy build, personally.
I'm actually
in the hands of a top player.
I'm keen to ask you both, actually. Do you think there was a definitive reason why Jellicent wasn't played as much as the linear Guardy? Because for me, there's no real outlined reason. You know, the meta is still pretty similar to what it was previously. Megas didn't really add too much in terms of item reliance, did it really? I can see why you would want to not play Jellicent if you were committing to the Mega Gardevoir. I understand that completely. But otherwise, and that's why I think we'll see the flip-flop. It's because there's no really real outline reason for me. There's nothing screaming out to me to say this is definitely a Jellicent type regional that I would want to go into. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I think Dow's already said it, the core benefit is the Dengo matchup. And if Dengo is going down, the value of Jelly definitely diminishes. Like, you still have Devo stuff a little bit more often, but even a straight Guardy could play Flutter Devo like we saw at Worlds, right? I mean, I'm a little bit cold on Jelly going forward now that we know about Absol Kang. So I would expect there to be a lot more straight Guardy coming up into the next few tournaments.
I mean, if roughly the numbers are like 60-40, maybe a bit less currently. But yeah, I think that starts to spread from here.
I think with the knowledge, of Absol Kangaskhan, you'd go into this with the straight build. Don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking if you went into this tournament with just that, the hearsay, so it's kind of at the back of your head, you're more focused on the bigger archetypes. Okay.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would have just played Jellicent because it won the previous week as well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Going into Mega Evo.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, and they still might if we look at our results, Joe, from
oh boy. Broken.
So going into day 2 then, the meta share looks like this.
Ah, so close. Hang on, let's have some numbers, Alex.
Oh, come on.
Shut your mouth. Gardevoir 10%, Charizard Pidgeot 8 points. 9%. Grimmsnarl Frostlass 8%. Chugabug Dusknoir 8. Goldingo Lunatone 8. And yeah, that's the 6th one. Ceruledge at 7%. So no introductions into the top 6, nor any decks dropping out of it. Pretty much stay the same, just a little bit of a jumble. Ceruledge taking the biggest tumble all the way down to 6th place out of 2nd. But we've already established why that might have been. I mean, I said going into this tournament, Gardevoir, I think every tournament this deck exists, you kind of have to go into it thinking Gardevoir's just such a strong pick. And I know, Dao, you're looking to play Lille, and I'm always flabbergasted at the idea of not even thinking about Gardevoir, and it's just had another strong showing now in Milwaukee as well. Yeah, but my biggest surprise is Grimmsnarl Frostlass. I don't think it's a deck that a lot of people are talking about. Someone.
I mean, we spoke about it in the last pod, right? We did speak about our good friend Mike's run.
We did, yeah.
He played it in Frankfurt as well, and kind of semi brought it back on the map, I suppose, in some ways. Obviously, it had a downwards trend going into the Worlds format with Golden Go sort of being a thing that sort of picked up. It has its place in the meta. It's obviously also gained things rather than having to discard so many key resources with research. It can just play Lily's Determination because it doesn't need to take prizes until it chooses to do so. So it can continue to draw with 8 cards with that supporter. But there's just, again, we're talking about a format now which is like so wide, and it has some matchups which is really prevalent, like being able to hit into the stage 2s and then use the evolutions and things like that, or have that kind of dark typing into Gardevoir. But there's so many more things. Ceruledge being a thing is still annoying for it. Golden Go is still around. And you didn't even touch on Mega Absol in 7th place.
Mega Absol just out. Yeah, 6%.
But just out, considering it was nowhere to be seen from day 1, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I think Mine's Grimmsnarl is always going to be a deck that's going to be there for those who have like consistently been playing it for over and over and over again, like Mike probably would. I mean, if he was going to a tournament tomorrow, he probably would play Grimmsnarl again, right? With the amount of time he's put into it. But it's just a scary scenario when Ceruledge has gained so much popularity as well.
Yeah. I mean, the same.
I thought, is Grimm not good into Ceruledge? I feel like Grimm's pretty good into Ceruledge.
I guess it's kind of, in my thinking was only just kind of the other beat stick decks that's like really annoying for it.
I think you way prefer seeing Ceruledge to Dengo, and I also think you prefer seeing Luna Rock to, like, the builds that are playing Trolley instead of ESP is so good for Grimmsnarl. Actually, I just think it's the victim of, it's the best engineless deck. Like, it's pretty low maintenance and easy to set up, but it is ultimately engineless. So you do just suffer from those games as a slow deck of like, I didn't start Arven or Lily or Iono. Yes, I played 12 outs, but sometimes I'm just dead in the water because my hand is terrible. I feel like that's always the one ender of Grimm.
That's the bit that scares me.
I wonder if we'll talk about it in a moment as well. Is that it feels like is the game slowing down again a bit from
No.
Worlds where it was like the go? Is it getting faster? Or are you trying to make it go fast? Broom, broom.
I don't think there's any reason to play the trolley build of Dengo. We'll see that it didn't really make any of the ASIMs. I don't think it made either ASIM. And its overall conversion was kind of mid. I feel like it's such a scam to put trolley in your Dengo deck. I think you take out such a strong card from the list. And the core selling point was that it could just completely body anything turn 2.
I still despise it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I completely agree, but I kind of meant the whole meta in general.
No, I think it's a myth that the game slows down.
No, I don't. I don't either. I still despise Goldengo Lunatone, and I do not know why people were so quick.
I like the combo. I just don't like Trolley.
EXP Share came out.
Trolley's just terrible.
Sorry, the Energy Search Pro came out, and everyone was like, "Right, this makes Dengo cracked now. This is, you can knock out anything turn 2. This is incredible. This is amazing." All of a sudden, Lunatone comes out, and it's like, "Oh, I'll switch that out. Yeah, that's fine." It's like the easiest switch in the world to go back to Trolley. Why?
I mean, it's just from the Japanese results, right?
I can't. There's no good reason to me.
Joe's shitting on the Japanese again.
What do you mean? That's what we based the early lists on.
There's no good reason to me.
The problem is they're being tricked with the good results of Dengo Rocks because you draw so many cards. But you're still a decent deck.
What? You draw like.
Listen, Ben, I'm not defending the deck. I'm the one hating on it as well. I'm not going to sit here and defend it. But I'm saying that
what were you not already drawing into with your 5 or 7 draws from Coin Bonus Pro and Draw of a Turn?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Yeah,
I don't like.
But Ben,
it's less about the draw. It's more about the early hit as a 1-prize board, right? Like the Solrock's the more important part of the combo, really.
Just play a Scizor.
Come on, might have to. That could be a point that we go into later.
We have a single prize of a hit for 70 for very little.
70 for 1.
Yeah, low maintenance 70.
Yeah. Dream.
We can talk about some of the other decks though that made it into day 2. One thing I want to touch upon. I think we can touch upon it now.
Let's move along.
Yeah, move along.
We've got another tournament to go.
Fine. Okay, fine. So there was a top 11.
I want more numbers.
At Milwaukee.
There was actually there would have been an extra person. But there was
a
a DQ as well, and that was a Serral Edge, just for the context.
Officially, there's 11 on my screen. But yeah,
I'm just trying to give the viewers context that there was a Serral Edge in top 16 and another that would have made ASIM. But anyway.
So I'll go through
You love Serral Edge, Ben. I thought you would have been champion this.
I do like Serral Edge. No, I do like Serral Edge. I'll go through some of the decks then. So we have 1 Charizard Pidgeot. We have 1 Gardevoir and 1 Zoroark. We have 1 Marnie's Grimmsnarl, 2 Dragapult Dusknoir. Yeah, that's right. 2 Gardevoir Jellicent and 3 Mega Absol Box. So quite a varied amount of decks there, I would say. Now we actually just were talking about Gardevoir Jellicent over Linear Gardevoir. Gardevoir Jellicent was actually the lesser played variant, as we've already established, but 2 making the top cut, Ian Robb and Robin Stavano. Thoughts?
Well, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, there's 7 stage 2s of the 11 decks. So I think that's firstly just a nod to Lily. I think almost all of these decks are playing a high count of Lily.
Yeah.
That they are massively beneficial to all the stage 2s. There's a lot of dark in here as well, with the Zoro, the Zard, the 3 Absol. So that's pretty evident. And I also think that, yes, Dragadust still has the stopping power to go deep in the tournament, but I don't think it's going to be... I think we are dispelling and moving away from the Guardy Dragapult tug of war, and I think we're becoming more that Dragapult's among the top decks in that top 5 or so, but now it really is Guardy against the world of dark stuff, I think.
I think the to Dragapult's detriment, I think there's now too many decks that can one-shot easily. Or at least one-shot by turn 5 or 6. I don't
What's
think...
this against Dragapult?
Yeah.
Has that really changed? I don't think anything has changed in that regard.
Well, you've got more Ceruledge in the format now, I suppose.
I would love to face Ceruledge as Dragon Dusk. I would bite your hand off for that matchup.
No, I think there's more. I think there's more threats out there now for Dragapult.
I think it's just the fact that the previously best matchups will be closer because of Psyduck.
Psyduck, yeah, I was about to say Psyduck is a thing now, right?
Isn't it more so like, I mean, we're gonna touch on, obviously you might have already kind of went in order already, but Jackson Ford, who ended up winning with the deck which usually is feasted on by Dragapult Dusknoir, kind of played the chicken and egg game of, well, Dragapult should be less played because Psyduck, or maybe not less played, but they should fear the fact that Psyduck's in decks like these that can kind of give it a closer matchup. I'm not even going to go that way. I'll just have a Shaman instead.
Yeah.
So,
and he beat his one Dragon Dusk as well, without Duck.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. I mean, it's possible, right? It's not saying it's impossible. It's just a harder matchup. But yeah, I think like we're getting to the stage where you often might even have the choice of that type of support Pokemon now, right? It's either a Shaman. I mean, everyone's chucking Tatsugiri suddenly in a lot of decks. You've got Klefki's kind of coming in to do its own job. You've got Psyduck, which can handle a lot of the Dusknoir decks, or at least help handle a lot of the Dusknoir decks. So it's really, it's kind of an interesting space we have now with that kind of, let's say, 59th, 60th card in a lot of decks that need to utilize that way of maybe increasing a few percent against some of their matchups.
I think with Charizard, I think it's more of a unique feature of Charizard. I think a lot of lists will play like upwards of 22 one-offs in their deck, just purely because they can, have a quick search. With quick search, anything's possible, as long as you've got that Charizard set up effectively. You can afford to play a lot of those one-offs. Yes, no Psyduck, but I think he probably would have gone into this tournament thinking, yes, there are more options on the table now to play different play styles, different decks in the format. So maybe, I mean, I think Dragon Ball Dusknoir was always going to take a downturn because of Psyduck anyway, but there's more decks on offer now. Mega Absol Box, Gardevoir's now won its, 6th regional in 7 regionals now, so you've got to also consider that as an option. I think it's a great capitalization by Jackson, to be honest. I said to you guys before we started talking, there's the Charizard stocks are going up, but I think it's a very respectable choice now, to be honest.
Yeah, I know I kind of jumped ahead with talking about Jackson Ford. Obviously, he did win Milwaukee Regionals.
Yeah.
But just kind of few things to highlight just from this top cut. A lot of big names in that list of 11 or /12 with a asterisk. A Barn who's on a ridiculous tear at the moment, 3rd final in a row.
Crazy.
Of the tournaments he's been to. A 1st, 2nd, and a 2nd. He could have stolen 3 direct invitations to the World Championships away by now.
In 3 regionals in a row, by the way.
Yeah,
not even over the seat. Yeah.
Rowan, obviously a previous world champion in the juniors division. Ian Robb, I think, was it a seniors finalist? Was that a seniors finalist? Yeah. Who had that mirror match on stream as well. We had I think Hale was kind of playing like an early version of what I'd seen of what the Absol Mega Kang deck.
Apparently, it was it was the list that Tord revealed in his class.
Yeah. Okay. On like the Wednesday or wherever it was, because it had the counter gain. It had I think it had the double E switch in. Maybe it was double E switch. Something like that.
Oh no, it just has one.
Yeah. Was it just one? I think there was other iterations we must have seen through the times, but which is a little bit different to the Xander Perot, who's also in the top 11 and towards lists that he played. But then there's Brandon Zalazar. Yeah, some really, really good names, and it was just incredible to see some of these matches actually.
Yeah, star-studded top cut for sure. Is there a deck that you specifically want to go through, Joe, or do we want to?
100%. We have to talk about Absol Kangaskhan, right?
Yeah, it's what I was going to go into it anyway. I don't know. I should have said, but we'll go into Tord. Actually, Well, just before we get into towards that, N Zoroark didn't Aiden make a top cut in a regional not too long back? I swear that's where Cyrano comes from. I swear they were the one to bring Cyrano to the Bombardier as well. I'm gonna have to look into that before we finish tonight.
It's familiar. I mean,
I can see his only placement with it before was Pit, but
yeah, I think Aiden's played well. Him and others, I'm sure, have played similar Zoroark lists before. But yeah, I do remember. I mean, I made you buy them on Birdie and EX and or whatever.
Yeah, didn't get the money for that.
Actually, play it for a tournament. Yeah, but you kept it. You wanted it.
A German, no, I think it was a French. There it is. I got the full art as well.
Still waiting to see Rab to give him his Bombardier and his 2 Hot Session. £1.50 a pop.
I think when I bought them, I said, "Oh, should I get him a French one for a laugh?" Because I knew you didn't know what it did or what the words were. Yeah, brilliant.
Add a bomb EX.
Okay, so we got
bought. I'll tell you exactly why you bought it. It's because its second attack is called Shatten Wind. So anyway.
All right.
Read into that while you will. Yeah, Todd's deck. I mean, we've all seen it by now. Like I said before, it was the deck on everybody's mind going into the tournament after the leak, and Todd's class, of course. I don't know how many numbers he got from that class, but I know a lot of people went into it to just see what the spice was, because I think he made a little I don't know, sprinkle on Twitter, didn't he? He kind of said, well, you're not going to find the next Zorro Golly unless you start testing and experimenting. And I think that's...
Sorry, I can't let this lie. You've just called it Zorro Golly. Are you okay? Zorro Pod.
Zorro Pod, yeah, okay, fine. I call it Zorro
Good
Golly.
God.
Zorro...
Are you an AI?
Zorro... I've always called it Zorro... I've always called it
you have not. You have not.
Zorro Galaxopod.
I'm sorry, everyone. He's sleep deprived. He doesn't know what he's saying.
He
of course meant Zorro Pod. No, you did not.
I don't think anyone's called it Zorro Golly.
Can we please just talk about this deck?
Because it was Zorro Golly.
Stop Raptor talking.
It was Zorro Golly and Zorro Lycan, right?
Yeah.
No, I called it Zorro. To be fair.
Great.
No, yeah, he made that little tweet and everybody kind of got excited, and he was
well, first of all, he wasn't even going to go to Milwaukee, but he said this was the reason why he booked a flight. He found a deck that he was really enjoying and had
to play this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that got people's heads turning. And then he did this bold statement of like, you got to take risks sometimes. And I think of all the plaudits we give Tord for his in-game play, I think this is one of the things as a deck innovator that he doesn't get enough flowers for, just because he has been at the forefront of so many meta games, being so creative with brand new ideas and ideas that are so well ironed from the very first iteration that he brings to the first tournament is just insane, and a testament to how much he tests the game as well as how strong his theory is. Because I mean, myself included, everyone was basically writing off Mega Absol as like a gimmick, I feel like. If anyone wants to be like, no, I loved it all along, like, sure, good for you, but I don't think anyone was testing this iteration or anything close to it bar Tord until it started to come together. And yeah, I mean, it speaks to the strength of Megas and like the acknowledgement that just this amount of hit points in a format with Penny and hit point buff made them really strong tanks. Toward going with Kang to draw cards is like pretty good. You do get a lot of hand advantage with the deck, it feels like. And just because Turbo Energize is good universal acceleration, it just seems to work. And I think that was the missing piece for the Absol, being like, sure, you can power up the terminal period for 2 energy, but how do you get the monkeys online and this, that, and the other? Like, people were trying it in Grimmsnarl and like Blaziken and stuff like that, but just saying no, I can attack with the Claw of Darkness as actually the selling point here instead is really cool. The new Yveltal came out in the same set, and that's also a great single prize attacker, not just for clutch actually. It also hits for weakness into Mews and Latties and stuff for upgrade potential as well that people have to respect into the aggro matchups. I've been using that a lot more now that I'm up to 2E switch in my own personal build. I feel like that's a really good like uptrade merchant at times. But yeah, the turbo energized trolley thing just makes it really simplistic and consistent to get going, where you get the attackers you want to energize to straight away, you get monkeys on board, and the main selling point of the deck is that the stage 2s, Dragger, Guardy, Grim, even Charizard to an extent, they all just sort of have to punch these things. They all just have to hit into your megas, and then as soon as that happens, you've ignited the trap card of either I can penny away the damage and buy the turn for free, or I can use the monkey damage to then terminal period and get these knockouts on megas. And then into other stuff, Claw of Darkness is just completely busted. And Claw of Darkness, Iono as a combo is really good. And I think there was always an acknowledgement that the attack text was good, but just we didn't really have the secret of how to power it up. And it turns out if you just sculpt an all basic deck with Energized as your early game, it can work out. So a lot to like here. Like, it is boxy still. It has Cornerstone because megas aren't tanks into the Ohikyo decks in the format. Fortunately, Raging Bolt Stonks were down, whilst like Dengo was still pretty high up. The Clutch Trap can help with some of the aggro matchups as well, who are still light on switching outs. And then like you still have Blood Moon Petrarunt to still race if you have to into some of them as well. So yeah, it's a really, really cool creative list. And I think people definitely have to respect and adapt. I think the latter half of the latter chat after we go through the results of this one and Belo will be all about what the decks are doing to adapt to this deck, but just having it come onto the field and feasting on the stage 2s as the jumping off point, feasting on Dengo because of your techs. I think that's really the bread and butter for this invention.
Yeah. It just shown on the weekend like it wasn't an easy deck to navigate against. It wasn't an easy deck to beat.
It also does just have cheese. Sometimes you can just panic Claw of Darkness and hit someone, or panic rapid fire combo and flip enough heads. Like it also has, I'm in a really bad spot. Oh, I'm not anymore because I cheesed my way into a good position. So yeah, like even though it has the really good game plan into a lot of stuff, it also has the like, I've got nothing else. I'm going to try this, and if it comes off, I can still put myself into a winning position as well, which is crazy actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely capitalizing on some of the cards that we'll be seeing the back of come February, right? Bravery Charm. I don't know if Lively Stadium rotates, but making that big Kangaskhan 380 HP. It's awfully hard to go around. I really loved the deck. I thought it was great. Much like everybody else, Mega Absol was an attractive card once reading it, but actually get it up and running effectively without coming to the detriment of every other board state that you have or every other deck choice you've made was quite difficult. But Tord seemed to have made it happen with this deck, and Turbo Energize still a card that we have the opportunity to use as a power up. So yeah. No, much to your sentiment, Joe. Great deck, great result all around. We saw that from the conversion rate going into day 2 as well. Dow, thoughts on Absol box then going into the rest of the metagame?
I think going forward from here on.
Yeah.
Out. I think there's one of the biggest things that going into Milwaukee was, despite it being leaked a few days before, it still went in as an unknown deck, where the vast majority of one of the largest regionals we have doesn't know what that deck was, so it had that kind of surprise factor. I think I can't remember where I heard it, or it was through someone else, but it might have been like via someone who mentioned John Lang spoke to them. It was like, if people worked out what the game plan was, it's a lot worse going into like a lot of matchups because some people knows there's certain ways people could play around it. That being said, it is a strong deck. It's a strong box deck. Because it's a box deck, it has a bit of space to kind of weave in some additional cards that might give it a better time into maybe like an evolving format, which we'll have a quick discussion about in a bit as well. But the core concept is obviously very strong, right? Joe's already touched on all of the pieces. If you just watch back any of the stream matches, you can actually just see how differently some of the players actually piloted the deck. If you watch John Eng and Tord, they loaded up, or even Hale, they loaded up the Absol at times. Whereas Ryuki was kind of an odd one where we actually saw him load up the monkeys early. It's a similar game plan we've seen with some of the Gardevoirs that we've seen with Baban with his turbo energized builds. Just load up the monkeys into certain matchups and just say, well, from here on out, I can either use the second one to either build up, or I can, have the energy on the board to then energy switch on to certain places where I need to start swinging away anyway. So there's these little things that a lot of people will have to keep an eye out for, because people are going, as Joe mentions, to that second energy switch because it feels so important. There's so many times with some of those games, you're thinking if they just had an energy switch here, actually that's so strong. So it's like, oh, people putting the second one in, or there's other extra cards that they're thinking about. But it's going to be really interesting to see how players kind of take on the next sort of evolution of this, because there's a few counts which I think a lot of people will be certainly testing. But yeah, super strong archetype. It won't surprise me if a lot of people will pick this up and have been playing it for 2 weeks straight going into Lille.
Yeah, agreed. I still share the same point. I do agree with the fact that this has to be a deck that people have on their minds when making their choices going into future tournaments, but it's really how to efficiently counter some of these awkward HP costs, and not, if you're going down the weakness route, it's quite difficult to find effective grass type Pokemon, fighting type Pokemon to try and beat those high
grass
HP
is
costs.
Easy, but grass is
easy.
no end of good grass stuff.
What? Go on.
Come on, Charles has been bouting grass.
Iron leaves.
Hello,
Leafeon.
I mean, these aren't. Yeah, but these aren't popular Pokemon now. Teal Mask Ogopon.
But you said it was hard to add grass stuff. I think that's fundamentally wrong. I think that's the easy part to solve.
I don't agree. I think it's difficult.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that I think is kind of interesting to have to take on is, and we probably should move on to Belo shortly.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of decks which have seen a lot of success, right? You've had, like, Charizard's had its moment, and then all of a sudden there was a waft of like grass attackers or grass supporters that can kind of help maintain its kind of power creep. You've had Dragapult, who's had obviously a lot of success, and then there's things like Clefairy, which has kind of been played, and Gardevoir's a thing as well. But Gardevoir, despite its kind of, I'm not going to say dominance, but its general like kind of high play and high placements and sort of the amount of money that it's won and so on, it's had all of these counters in a similar way to Mew VMAX did in reality, but it's been able to overcome that. And it's kind of very interesting to see how Gardevoir's still able to handle those kind of things that keep getting chucked at it. In comparison to things like where Charizard literally took it literally nosedived into the sea, as Joe would love to say regularly on this pod how much he hated it. But Gardy still seems to be Gardy seems to still just be like above the rest and just kind of in its own cloud and in its own place.
Agreed.
But yeah, we probably should touch on.
We'll touch on the Belo. Yeah. We'll go through Belo.
Because
we'll still talk about this deck anyway in a minute.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So top decks in the meta share for Belo Horizonte. So we have Grimmsnarl Frostlass in first place with 10%, Charizard Pidgeot with 9%, Gardevoir with 9%, Gholdengo Lunatone 8%, Ceruledge 8%.
You've done the rare rounding 55 down, have you?
Is it 55? Oh, sorry, I thought it said 45. Gholdengo Lunatone 9%. Ceruledge 8%.
It's brilliant.
And then Dragon Ball Tesla with 8%.
It's just a little.
I swear I said 45.
Where will which way will my thumb Wait.
I said 45.
Let's just go back to 2 decimal places.
I thought I said 45. I thought I said 45. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
And how did that look into day 2, Ben?
Going into day 2, do you want to go through conversion first or day 2? We'll go through day 2. Go on.
I mean, you can do both, right? Click on conversion and then just do day 2, sort day 2.
All right,
and then you can see the conversion.
Blissey, 100%.
Telling.
Oh,
come on.
What?
Sort by day 2, please.
Click on day 2.
And give me 2 decimal places.
Mega Absol Box, 72%. Grimstone Frostlass, 22. Goldinger Lunatone, 23. Sarah Ledge, 17. Charizard Pidgeot with 11%. Those are conversions, not meta share.
Yeah.
And then just actually we can quickly.
And then let's go
quickly touch on it.
Let's go day 2 then. So day 2, Mega Absol Box with 13%. Grimstar Frostlass 12. Goldinger Lunatone 11. Sarah Ledge 8. Charizard Pidgeot with 6, and then that is the 6th one, isn't it? Dragapult Dusknoir 6% in 6th place.
Yeah. I haven't actually looked through, Joe, if the kind of players who made it through to day 2 or just Mega Absol Box players in Brazil. Not that I know everyone anyway, but I'm imagining a lot of the players, at least the ones that made it day 2 and still finished pretty highly, were some of the top. We would consider the top players from Brazil who have piloted that deck, right?
Yeah, Azevedo, Patusi, obviously Gabriel.
Like there's names like Rafael Uti who I've seen before, Octavio Guevia, I don't know how to say the name. But there's a lot of players, even some players who didn't quite make day 2, like Ian Fukuda. Like names we've seen before. But a high level of players who had picked up this deck, either through whatever was leaked from Tour on a Wednesday, but again, a concentrated number. 72%, as you just said, is absolutely ridiculous. If we saw that on a meta like chart as casters in that tournament, and we just saw it fly to the top, it would be. I don't think we'd stop talking about it, just like we are doing now, and like everyone else has been for the last week or 2.
Yeah, it's these are stats that you can't really ignore. You know, it's a concentrated number of players, sure, and a concentrated number of highly skilled players, but it's still an achievement in itself to get a deck that high in terms of conversion. Be it a secret deck or not, it's still impressive. It's still 100%. Really impressive. And then to come into the top of the meta share into day 2, even that's just another step above, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
It is a crazy achievement.
As it was 3.24% in the day 1 field, and then becomes the most populated deck in day 2 is absurd.
Yeah, that's crazy. It really is. I don't think I've ever seen something like that actually come in top in terms of meta share the next day, from such a low position.
That's
mad.
It's
something we should definitely check.
But even a lot of telling things just from Belo, just very quickly. I don't know, Ben, if you had another point on that.
But even its win percentage, its win percentage 57.6%. I mean, that is just so high. I mean, usually 52, 53 is like telling of a really dominant archetype, because you do have to factor in draws and of course losses. But 57 teetering on 60% is ridiculous. It's so high. It really is. Sorry, Alex, go on.
I mean, I was going to say, if you wanted to just look at that number, the day 1 win percentage was 68%. Which, there you go. Speaks volumes. I was going to just quickly touch on the conversions of some of the numbers. Actually, ones that you didn't mention.
Go on.
Because Gardevoir was outside of the top 6.
It was.
In terms of day 2 players. It didn't have a good time, right? It was 10% and 16% for 10% for Gardevoir Jealous was 16%. Not a good time for Gardy at all. Not a good time for Charizard, which I still will touch on again, because as we start thinking about Lille and Gdansk, how that's going to be affected, considering Charizard won Milwaukee, but actually had a pretty poor showing in Belo, but completely different meta game, of course. Because Grimstone was the most played deck after all.
Yeah.
Should we go into the standings? Just
Yeah,
very quickly
let's go into the standings then.
It's
so
pretty cool.
It was a top 10 overall. Some really wild decks actually going into the top 10. A lot of decks that we didn't even feature in the Milwaukee top cut. So we have one Joltik box, just regular old Miraidon Joltik box, which we haven't seen in a hot minute. We have Marley's Grimsnarl 1, Gardevoir 1, Gardevoir Jellicent 1, Kangaskhan.
2 regular Guardians.
Oh, sorry, 2 regular Guardians, sorry. Kangaskhan Bouffalon 1, Archaladon 1, Ceruledge 1, and 2 Mega Absol box, and of course, like Joe said, two linear Gardevoir. So a lot of decks on show in Belo Horizonte. Are there any decks that you want to touch upon out of those one-offs in particular?
I mean, I think we should look at most of them, to be fair. I think we should look at the Arch. I think we should look at the Kanga Booth. And obviously, when a world champion makes top 4, I think we should take note of his list.
Yeah, Diego, yeah. But we'll look at...
I meant Diego.
Do you want to look? Do you want to look at?
I said top 4.
Do you want to look at?
Yeah, they all technically are.
Mateus Rosa. Sorry.
Yeah.
Archaladon.
The Risky Ruin Arch.
So it's Archaladon with a Mega Morwell and 2 Lily's Determination. Oh no, sorry.
Well, I mean, Risky Ruins is the big thing, right?
Yeah, Risky Ruins and Hero's Cape, because of course the Super Scoop Up was the previous Ace Mega Choice, wasn't it? The last time.
I mean, it's been Hero's Cape for a good amount of time.
At least the last time I saw Archaladon make a good showing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. I guess
it was Super Scoop Up. And the only deck that I've seen Mega Morwell in before I saw this was in Matang. So
your Matang.
It's in some Terra box as well, to be fair.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, it could be a late game Terra box card.
But I'll read Risky Ruin for the listeners at home, because it's a card that we don't really see all that often. If it loads for me. Oh, my connection was interrupted. 2 hours. Risky Ruin. Whenever a player puts a basic non-Darkness Pokemon onto their bench during this turn, play 2 damage counters onto that Pokemon. Interesting.
Well, it's an activator for your own monkeys, right? Because we've seen Venture Bomb previously in the deck, like this sort of build, right?
Big champion of that.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite. And Risky Ruins just serves the purpose much better, I feel like, letting you get the monkey activators, because then also you can now start threatening basic evolving stuff by them putting counters on their own guys, so your monkeys become more versatile. And it's also just a stadium bounce generally, which is good. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised because there's not that many upgrades and you're still a little bit inconsistent, I would say, as Arch. And I also think that there's going to be more tool disruption going into the next few sets of tournaments. So I'm a bit sus of Hero's Cape, but there's no doubt that the Cape is like a big boast for the deck. And genuinely, Morwile is a great sweeper in the deck. So it finally has like a late game that you can rely on and not rely on late game boss, which you needed quite often previously.
When I saw this originally, I did like the Risky Ruins, only because I know Archaladon has to make up certain numbers, right? The main Pokemon, only with the damage cap of 220, it has to have some sort of method of increasing damage, whether that was with Bomb before, but now with Risky Ruins, and a decent Monkey Dory strategy now with that as well. So yeah, I thought it was a good idea, and coming in 9th place as well in a major regional, that's nothing to be kind of snuffed at. It's something to at least consider, I suppose. I don't think you'll be seeing this a lot, but at least it's something that made a top showing. So, and I do like the Mega Morwell. There's not many decks that can take advantage of this card. You mentioned Terra Box, but we all know that that's a kind of a Crispin, energy acceleration style deck. But not all decks are going to have that package. So if you play Metal Acceleration, I feel like this is just a natural conclusion now as a sweeper. Yeah, nothing wrong with this at all. I guess your only threat. Go on.
I was going to say what would stop people bringing something like this to a tournament, Joe?
Well, there's a lot of decks that can one bung, I suppose.
Didn't know you changed your name.
Bung. Oh, sorry. Did you say Joe? Sorry.
I said all Ben.
Sorry.
I'll give him that.
Sorry. No, Joe. Go on, mate. Go on.
Ben started.
No, you said it perfectly, mate. You said it perfectly.
No.
Stuff can one bung you. Next.
Stuff can bung, and you're hiding behind Hero's Cape, just the one of, and you're hoping to use that 1-2 every single game.
I mean, it did also lose to an Abkang in cut, and I think that should be a pretty poor matchup for you.
Yeah.
Terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, you're joking.
Not like this.
Yeah. You're joking, right?
You're having a laugh.
400.
You're having a laugh.
Oh, you're using my own Risky Ruins against me. I can't believe it.
Oh no, couldn't Risky Ruins? Oh no, it can't. No, yeah. I thought Risky Ruins could help you, but it's not. Because
makes it easier, isn't it?
For whatever reason, I've played Monkey Dory for like since it came out, and I keep forgetting that you can do up to 3. Yeah.
Crazy.
Damn.
Nuts. Such
a good card. Do you want to go through Kangaskhan Buffalon?
Yeah.
Like this is something we have to go through. Emmanuel Diogo? Yeah.
I think there was a few people trying some sort of like heavy Kangaskhan.
Had a very good conversion. Right? Yeah.
So I did see in Japan when Kangaskhan came out, because Mega Kangaskhan EX was my first ever card, right? It was my first ever deck, sorry. So when this came out, I was like all over it.
Mega Kangaskhan was your first ever card.
It was my first ever deck.
I'm so confused. The chop in the playground, and Rabs just reveals the Mega Kang.
No. My first ever like proper deck. And when this came out,
I was like, XY Mega
Kang. Yeah. Dizzy Comet Punch, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's Flashfire.
Yeah. So I was like all over this. So the initial lists from out of Japan were either Buffalon or they were Fortress. So this was actually a deck that I did see coming out of Japan, but I would have never.
I feel like Japan were playing owls a lot. Were they not? I feel like because I mean definitely the build that definitely the build that me and Jack tested of a Boof Kang was definitely like a hybrid of old Terrapagos plus Kang.
So it had the colorless package attached to it only because we saw that with Terrapagos, so it's kind of like a natural switch around. So,
but this is more like Tord Brid with the lively bravery trolley thing, right? Very different.
Make myself as big as possible. Was it 400 and something silly?
Beat that.
Damage that you do.
Penny.
440 is it?
Lively's 30, bravery charm, and then another 60 on top. 430. Yeah, you're right.
Penny. Penny's such a card you can essentially abuse with this Mega Kangaskhan because you are such a high HP. The only problem. 3 energy required in order to start attacking, but if you can at least hide behind that HP for 1 or 2 turns a game, I think you're laughing.
I mean, it's the same thing where you just energize first, and then suddenly your tool slot is available again. Yeah. But does it suffer for the same thing with Absol just going terminal?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you can play some mists, I suppose.
But you could play mist of this, but probably move to that. Yeah. What I think this does have going for it is Crispin. That's the only thing I will say. I think if you do want to play Mega Kangaskhan specifically, I think this is an actual option, other than Mega Absol.
What I think is good is the 300, especially when you like a lot of decks are going to try and hit the 300, right? Whether it's a type coverage mon or like jamming tower. We know that 300 is a achievable goal. But it still feels like even if the tool's being removed and the stadium's being removed, there's still a freaking boof keeping this guy in business. So I think this is less counterable than Abkang, even though I think it probably has a slightly lower power level. It's more, or like it's less flexible. But again, you can easily add the protective goggles and stuff like that if you care about fighting stuff coming into the mix, because there's definitely been people asking me for some questionable EXs and other random tech Pokemon that happen to be fighting and say that lets me beat a Kang now. So
I suppose.
Not one of them.
Not Hooper EX coming in. Come on.
I suppose the only thing.
Not the flippy card we've been talking about, yeah.
No. Well, I mean, there's 1/1 Lucario's going into Dengos at the moment, so.
Wow.
The one thing I don't like necessarily about the spills, the only minus I have is that you rely a lot more on flips, which isn't great.
Well, it's yes and no. I think you treat it as a 2-shot deck, and then Monkey can mop up.
Okay, you rely somewhat on flips. I'm not saying Mega Absol doesn't.
I think it's harsh.
But there is an element.
Harsh critic from me. I feel like every time you represent a rapid fire combo and you flip heads, it becomes like a haha, I have instantly won the game. Whereas you're saying it
needing an extra turn.
Yeah, rather than you actually need the flip to go your way every time. I feel like it's more like a win condition flip than I need this right. Like, sure, there's going to be games where you've lost unless you hit heads or something, but I think a lot of the time it's cream on top.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think that there is a dependency, albeit quite small. There is, in a 9-round tournament, you may have to depend on a flip for game, which I don't necessarily enjoy.
Fine.
Yeah, we'll have it at that. Just flip heads. Fine. So let's go through another deck. Do we want to go through Ceruledge, Grimmsnarl, or Joltik Box?
I'd love to see Diego's list.
Yeah,
sure.
Of course.
We're heavily into time, boys.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Want it to be quick today.
What about this, Joe? Can you imagine? There's an Iron Leaves EX in this. There's a 1.
Oh, it's grass. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
and
weird.
A Galvantula.
Hang on. Galvantula as well. Ben?
Yes. Yeah. Fine. I admit somewhat of a defeat. Yes. Yeah. No,
this deck tries to cover a lot of bases, right? It's the whole Joltik box package. Has the Magneton to try and reload if it needs to. Has Clefairy with 2 Psychic as well to cover the Dragapult matchup. The Iron Leaves, of course. I don't know how much Diego is really respecting Absol at the time. Maybe you heard murmurs. I'm not really too sure, but must have surely. But it's generally a good card to kind of weave in and out of things anyway if you're getting locked and sort of cornered or other soft retreat locked attacks. But yeah, it's not something we've seen too often in recent times. Joltik's often been comboed with Golden Go, and now it's found a new partner in crime with the Rock package. Poor little bug's been tossed aside, and it's back to Miraidon.
I do like the Iron Leaves only because it gives you Charizard coverage as well. I think it gives you coverage against those high HP, awkward, dark Pokemon. That you have to keep an eye on. And sometimes Galvantula isn't enough, only because early Monkey Dories are an option now for a lot of decks. So yeah, I feel like I've seen Miraidon now evolve over time since it first came out into this very linear archetype to this, let's jam this in because it's a new thing. But that one new thing that I don't see in here, which I would have expected, especially with Magneton, is Zekrom. I think Zekrom's really underrated. I actually really love that card. Do you not like it, Joe? I really like it.
Not in Joltik box. Hell no. I mean, that's just a different deck. Like, now you're just thinking about Generator Don.
Yeah.
I feel like you never play it in Joltik box.
I feel like it could be an inclusion, especially for Crispin.
I'm going to say no. And that's final.
And that's my final word.
There is a new Magnemite, 70 hit points, big buff. I also think the Magnet is terrible in the deck, but
yeah, it's bad. Well, I say it's usually not great because if you're going Joltik, you lose a single prize. You don't really want to offer them another one, or even blow up your Magneton to be able to do that.
Well,
then
that's why. Well, that's why I expected the Zekrom.
Yeah.
That's why I expected the Zekrom, because at least then it makes the Magneton make sense. Because I agree that I don't like it necessarily in this way of playing.
You often use the Ursaline, like the BMU, to do the same thing to like take that last maybe last couple. So,
I guess
why have another Pokemon that forces you to use something like Magneton to load up?
You can
at that point, a second BMU is probably
you can force
useful, but
you can force 7 prize card games against Gardevoir, which I quite like. I suppose
but you do that with Joltik naturally.
Yeah, you have to do that with Joltik. This deck doesn't really.
And I get and what I do like is you have security in case of an early knockout on Iron Hands EX, so you can amp into amp.
And you could do the same thing with like a Baton in the list or like a Power Glass in the list. You can do that with one slot in a tool slot as well.
You could,
if you really want to.
You could, but Magneton does a lot more, right?
And E-Switch. E-Switch is really good in the deck as well, if you can fit it. I don't think you necessarily can at the moment, but I think that also solves some of those issues.
So why do you think Magneton was included in here?
Well, I mean, it is to let you chain Topaz bolts. It's like not. It also gives you that backup plan if you whiff Jolting Charge, whereas I think the deck completely just like weeps if it whiffs, I suppose. You say like, oh, this hand doesn't have Jolting Charge. I'll just get a Magnet here, and then I'll try and Overvolt instead. But that's still really rough when you only play 3 Ultra Ball and a Vessel. So I mean, I'm very suspect of the 1/1 Magnet, to be honest. But I really like Joltik Box going into these next set of tournaments because I think it's very good at pressuring the Stage 2 decks very consistently, and it's also got a green guy and a guy that can hit 300 damage, which are some checkpoints, I think, now for me. And yeah, go on.
Do you like Joltik Box mainly just because of Iron Hands, or do you like?
Yes.
I know you said Iron. I know you said
a good selling point of the deck.
Yeah.
I know you said yeah. I know you said Iron Leaves is a good thing to have, but Ampy, very much do you think it has a lot more of a strength going into the next couple of tournaments, only because Absol Box is so dominant?
Yeah, I think Iron Hands are still really good into Absol Box, to be fair. I feel like you still find amp targets from the Yveltal or the Monkey pretty happily. And neither of those attacks really stack up nicely into hitting. Like, oftentimes they have to hit the Iron Hands, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a Leaves there. So I really like Joltik Box or Cash in Hand. I think they're both really good options right now. And yes, it's entirely because Ampy very much is filth, I think. The one thing I will acknowledge from Diego is that I like that he fit the 2 Brocks in the list in addition to the 3 Gear, the 4 Arven, just because it really is, please let me Jolting Charge. So just giving yourself those additional outs and not wasting them on any other like superfluous cards is really cool. So I think that's the only nod there. Like, he's not having any Pokemon recovery or anything like that. He's just saying like, I can manage my energy. I'll just figure it out. I don't need anything else in here.
Because the question I only asked that because the question I posed to you today was Iron Hands into Absol Box equals really bad, and you said
no, it's really good.
Boss, shrug shoulders.
Boss.
Yeah.
Heard of it?
It makes sense. That makes sense. Dao, any thoughts on Belo Horizonte then as we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly touch on the final, I guess. Well, you could show up Gabriel's list because it's a very different Absol list as well. Takes into a lot of things that I've also seen online from like Sage and Park. It has Unfair Stamp. I mean, Unfair Stamp, Claw of Darkness is a ridiculous combo. If you ever get a chance to get it off, plays the 2 E-switches, still has the old like counter gain, has E-Hammer. So you're starting to see like tech cards that Absol Box could play in a box type deck. But the final is crazy that we didn't get a chance to see something like this, right? It's Gustavo Wada in the final with his own kind of homebrew build of Gardevoir as well, which is another list we should probably have a flick through when you get a chance. But up against Gabriel Fernandez, and it's kind of like, it's almost, I'd like to say old guard, but Gustavo's not particularly old, but a guy who's basically paved the way for a lot of Brazilians as like arguably one of the best players to come out of the region against the kid who's aged up into Masters now, who has completed seniors, was quite a what feels like would have been quite a big showing. it did end up being taken down by Gustavo in his, I say, Mega Gotti list.
Yeah.
It's another list which, similar to Aban, didn't play TM Evolution, so it's heavily relying on kind of the draw power. It has Mystery Gardens, and so instead, and plays like kind of the double Bravery Charms. So it actually has. It's one of the few lists that actually has outs to being able to handle mega big basics deck, as I probably would like to call it, because it has Mega Gardevoir EX, it has Drifloon, and is able to recycle those and use kind of big hitters. So it's not really a big surprise necessarily that he was able to beat Absol Kangaskhan. But yeah, that was, I think that's something that we should be calling out, because it's actually quite a cool final to have happened, especially if Gabriel's first event in the Masters Division, coming second. Maybe he's not quite the, it's not quite as difficult for him to kind of age up from the seniors to the Master Division as a lot of people may have potentially considered. So yeah, really cool. But yeah, just touching on that really.
I can definitely see an uptick in Mega Gardevoir in these lists following this win from Wada, only because it does show. His list did really show, like you said, this appetite for big knockouts. Drifloon, Mega Gardevoir. I know these are the only two cards that can reach those high numbers, but to have them both included is quite a statement. So, and I only say that because a lot of lists coming out of Japan originally, and some of the lists from Milwaukee that play the Mega Gardevoir didn't necessarily play the Drifloon in addition. So I can definitely see this approach being taken. Having those two options, and I played a bit of Mega Guardian at League on Tuesday, and it is really a good sweeper. So personally, I was surprised at not seeing it a lot in the Milwaukee lists. Maybe it was because it was too much admin on the board to manage effectively, but and I can definitely see that playing quite a thin line of evolution with the 3-2. Yeah, but I think Wada's list will be taken as a template to have a good matchup, I think, into Mega Absol.
I'm sure we'll touch on it. I mean, I know we've gone quite a lot of time, but we'll probably just quickly touch on, just after that, our thoughts actually going into Lille and Gdansk, right, into some of the decks.
Sure.
Won't take up too much time, maybe just like a few minutes on each. But obviously there's a core set of decks that we tend to kind of revolve the meta around at the moment. Since we're just talking about Gardevoir now, I guess we've also semi-touched on it as well. Do we think it's going to be a Jelly build or Guardi build, which is sort of the preferred route into Lille, and we'll say Gdansk as a further away tournament, but for Lille, is the direction now going back to just a straight Guardi build as a thing? We kind of mentioned it.
Yeah, I think Drifloon Bundle would be two cards I'd really want to play in Guardi this weekend. Bundle to help deal with other jellies and somewhat against mega stuff. Just that little bit of push is really handy, especially when Artisan sits on board a lot of the time. You'll find it being useful in a lot more spots than you might necessarily think. And yeah, Drifloon seems good.
Is Mega Guardi worth a play or not?
I would not play
like
it.
You would have to change it, and you'd have to add an extra psychic energy usually as well, because 7 is a bit short, right?
Yeah, I prefer I prefer just the one garden, the 2 artisan, and still keeping a healthy amount of monkeys. So I would not play the mega.
Fair enough. Ben, any thoughts? I know you've had a little try with Gardevoir.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been Gardevoir's biggest fan, really.
Hang on.
I do, as I have been for many decks, but no, I can't look past any other deck than Gardevoir this weekend. I think if you want to succeed or maybe make points, I think it's either Gardevoir, Zard, or Absol Box for me personally. Going into Lille.
Well, we'll touch onto those other two shortly. I mean, the only other thing I'd sort of mention is see a lot of the 2 builds that performed the best over those 2 tournaments didn't have technical machine evolution. Would that go back in? Because Gustavo played 3 rare candies, Aban had double the turbo energizers. We're going back to TM evolution to try and handle the field and get to those guardies a bit sooner, a bit quicker, a bit better. Bundle, I appreciate it's a very good card and has to go in now because of the mirror match into Jelly, which is usually awful, usually Jelly favored. But with Bundle, it kind of gives you that opportunity to use those rare candies. So is that enough to handle that, or are we saying Technical Machine Evolution comes back in?
I don't hate the fine balance. I don't think I would play more than like 2 Arven though. 2 Arven, 2 Evo, and box, and you just take it when you can. And I'll probably just play like 1 Evo and still like 2 candies. I would try and finesse it with all the supporters.
Yeah.
I just think having still at least a couple research and a high Lily is still really important.
I agree. I think considering Lily is now going to be what is your main draw supporter, I would say, in the deck, it's a 4 of, definitely. I respect the one evolution also, only because if you draw into it, great, fine, but I don't think you're going to be panicking anymore if you don't find it.
Cool. All right. That seems quite happy with that as well. Let's move straight into Charizard, I guess, then. In one Milwaukee. Yeah, I realize I've kind of just taken over here. One Milwaukee, relatively poor showing in Belo. Was very popular across both tournaments, if I'm not mistaken. Like, second or first in Milwaukee, second in Belo as well. Does everyone just take Jackson Ford's list and play it going forwards? Change the Chi-Yu into Ho-Oh, which we saw that kind of sweet tech inclusion from Caleb as a cornerstone, kind of semi out there as well. Quick thoughts on that?
I mean,
I like the list. I like Klefki. I would also consider Klefki and Guardia as well, for what it's worth. Maybe Dragapult, but then you have to get fruity with your tool counts and think of Arvens and stuff, so that you can make sure you're blasting off again. I really like his list. I would still play Chi-Yu over the Molt or the Ho-Oh or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
I would prefer to play Great Tusk. Not Great Tusk. Jeez. Gouging Fire as a. I prefer to play Gouging Fire as a cornerstone answer than the freaking Moltres. I keep doing it wrong. The freaking Ho-Oh.
Right, Joe's obviously had sleepless nights.
I'm bored.
As well.
Yeah.
I've got a pack after this.
Oh, you telling me you didn't pack already?
No
when
way.
do you, well, it doesn't matter.
Anyway. I said, lads, just a little hour today. Yeah, nice and quick.
Yeah, Ben started reeling off stats, okay? Leave us alone.
Love the numbers. You love numbers.
All right, well, Charizard, strong, good. A lot of people will probably play it, right? We're expecting it to turn up in Force a little. Ben, quickly.
I mean, I'm not the person to ask about Lazard list. I know it's good, but don't ask me if I want to put in it.
All right, moving on. Absol we kind of touched on this. It is a box deck. It's got plenty of opportunity to try and weave in some tech inclusions, depending on what people are thinking of the meta. Going into Lille, is it going to perform as well as it did in Milwaukee? Not to maybe the kind of crazy conversion rates, but will we see it in Top Cut? Is probably a better question.
I can't necessarily see why not. I can't think of a really strong reason why it wouldn't. There's no obvious consistent counters to it. And like I said before, it's quite difficult to navigate around. I think it's a hard deck to beat. It's built that way. There's not as many counters to such a large HP Pokemon as Kangaskhan is, and also the real damage that Absol can do in its various methods. Yeah, I mean, you can say weakness, yeah, sure, with grass type Pokemon. You can say big hitters is an option as well, but I think it's easier said than done. I could definitely see it being a big archetype with a great showing when it comes to Lille.
So I have a couple of fears. I have a couple of fears. I mean, I worry that Cornerstone will be respected more. Just if you're playing the Charizards or the Dengos, you're probably going to have more solid answers. so that becomes a less safe win con for the deck. And I do think there's going to be an uptick in sloggers, like Rab likes to call them, whether it's Bolt making a small resurgence, which is really good into the deck, I think. Because it naturally plays like Koraidon, Jamming Tower, and a ton of grass stuff, and has answers to Cornerstone. I think there's nowhere really to run. Dengo possibly playing Lucario or its own Cornerstones, or Scizor, or there's so many different options. So that makes me a little nervous. I also think that Gardevoirs are going to be more aggressive, which is more awkward for you. So I think you got to finesse quite a few things. I think you're going to be way less safe, and you're going to have a lot more situations where your opponent is going to have that gotcha 3-prize knockout turn. So it's about how you respond from that board state. And I think you probably increase your Iono count a little bit and rely a little bit more on like Blood Moon Iono stuff. Or Claw of Darkness Iono stuff. That's the thing that makes me fearful, but I think it's still really strong.
I think naturally you'll have more of a Targetus on its back, just in consideration of last weekend, but I do tend to favour Gabrielle's list a little bit more because it has a lot of that comeback potential with the Unfair Stamp. I think that's going to be quite a decision to make when it comes to your A spec as well. I completely agree that
you wouldn't go trolley.
I really do like the Unfair Stamp. I think it's a really strong. I don't know. I feel like you just have some fizzle games with the deck without trolley.
I agree. It's like you just.
I don't know. It depends.
Need to worry about the rest of your boards. You have your perfect board set up if you're able to get trolley out, right?
I think it depends how threatened you feel. I think if you can get off the combo of the Cypher Maniac with Stamp, I don't know. I think if you go into it a little bit scared, you play that package definitely. If there are a lot more sloggers that you think that are going to be on the table, you definitely orientate around a bit more of a comeback deck with hand disruption.
I don't know. When I face sloggers at the moment, I'm like trolleying for Fez Blood Moon very proactively and having that on board secure, expecting the first mega to go down and then being into Blood Moon range, like Blood Moon stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, I see your point. I don't know. I think it's a lot more of a decision to make than maybe we think it is. Going into future tournaments.
All right, we'll leave it at that for
Look at the frown.
You've not tested it at all, have you?
All right, moving on.
Furious nonsense.
We don't need to talk about too much about the beat stick decks of it. Let's go Dragapult, because we saw we've seen some people say online that it's no better time now to play Dragapult. There still were 2 in the top 11 or top 12 at Milwaukee as well, but wasn't able to get any further. Is those Dragapult have that much of a fear where it has to play something like Klefki to be able to handle the Psyducks, and that's in all of these decks now? Is it still a deck that can handle the meta? It gains such a consistency boost with Lily's determination, because especially if we're going back to a slower build a bit as well. Is it just not there for it right now?
I think it's interesting. I like that there's a lot of Guardians that might play 0 TM Evo. I think that's really good for Pult, actually. So you can budgie them out the game, which is looking really promising. I do think the Absol Kang's a big problem, though. Like the Klefki just does not feel good. E-Hammer, maybe. But like, again, how do you find that freaking card? So you can get rid of Mist on Duck. Like, there's so many awkward things. I don't know. I don't know if a straight Pult might end up being the better route. Like a Risky Ruins, Monkey Dory Pult. Come on. Who's with me? Who's with me?
Just off the cuff.
He's completely made that up on the spot without a single thought.
Someone's
Turbo Energize Pult. Come on. You know you want to.
Someone stop him.
Right. I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna give them. We'll talk about one last thing, because Joe, you've kind of highlighted Iron Hand as being like something that's really important, or not important, really kind of got a good chance of a good showing this weekend because they're going to apply so much pressure so early on. Hans is in a few different decks now. You got the Joltik Dengos, you got Joltik Box, you got a couple of the different routes. Why other than pressurizing, is it enough to be taking the 2 prizes? Is 230 enough as a Pokemon HP to be able to handle the meta at the moment? Everyone's kind of having ways of taking or dealing 300 damage after all, so I'm responding to that. Is it enough? Can we see it win? Will it win a tournament? Will it win this tournament?
It's a big call. I don't know. I feel like they're too linear to probably win a tournament, but I think they're really good for getting a good chunk of points and getting to like 8 wins or so. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Dengo, Hands, and Joltik Box, but I'm a simple man that wants to win in my 50 minutes plus 1 turn. So I'm just so pilled on taking 2 one way by hook or by crook based on any board state. If I slog, I will. If I have to get for a little guy, I will. And I feel like there's so much distraction for other matchups right now that you kind of get away with just being yourself and being a consistent build of what you want to be. And you're naturally like covering a lot of situations. I think, sure, you could be done by random walling decks, but I think the amount of Cornerstone and Straight Guardian in the format puts people off Crustal and other like Wolves decks. So I think you're pretty well safeguarded from the Wolves stuff right now to just play a linear deck. I kind of think the same for Terrabox as well, where Pikachu and Iron Leaves are good answers to Absol and Kang, especially if you play Jamming Tower in the deck. So I like those aggro decks. I think those are really good. I would much prefer to play a Joltik deck to like straight Dengo or Ceruledge right now.
Yeah, the reason I like Hands is just it's not a deck that feels necessarily threatened right now, which I quite like about it. I think it's a respectable deck if you want to just get your 5 wins and go and get an ice cream on the Sunday. I think it's a very respectable choice in that light.
So all you Hands players, Ben is just just giving you his premonition of you going straight to day 1 only.
Get your 5 wins, get some points.
Don't worry about playing round 9 on day 1 because you're not making it a phase.
No, I think I share the same point that Joe made, which is I think it's too linear to reach those top tables. Not saying they can't, but I think it's just too linear. It's too straightforward in that sense. But otherwise, 95% of the time you're getting set up, you're doing what you want to do, but it's much to the point of just maybe hoping your opponent doesn't hit it most of the time, which is not always a great place to be in, which is why you see these aggressive archetypes just fall off the cliff when it comes to day 2 conversion. But most of the time, on average, it actually has had a pretty good day 1, but they just haven't hit those high numbers to make a top cut.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. Let's end it with this last question, since this is what I touched on anyway. Then, in one word, deck that will win. Lille, Ben,
Gardevoir,
Joe. Oh, he's had to think about it. Jesus. Sorry, Arceus.
Zard.
Oh, he's taken my one. I would have said Zard as well. Yeah, I would say Zard. Anyway, there you go. Try to rush through that, boys. Hope that helped.
Cool. All right. Well, that was a longie. That was a longer.
It was a longie.
Wasn't it? Joe's itching to get off.
We said we wouldn't do a tier list so we could leave.
I know. Joe's itching to pack. Look at him. He's so Joe's so angry. Joe, look at his face. Oh, bless. What are you up to this weekend,
See you
Joe?
later. See you then.
See you all. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.